All right, breaking news coverage continues as we're following the latest on last night's strikes in Iran. We have reaction flooding in from all over the world. And we'll get to the region right now and see what Iran is up to at the moment. NewsNation's Robert Sherman continues his reporting from Tel Aviv and joins us live from there right now, 11:18 p.m. What's the latest, Robert?
Yeah, Connell, as you can see from the live photos there, it is nighttime here in Tel Aviv. Night has fallen here, and it is still a highly tense environment in which the message coming from the top here is to exercise the highest level of caution. The Israeli government does not want people out on the streets, and you see people adhering to that. The streets are quiet. The beaches are empty. Restaurants, cafes, really no hustle and bustle or anything of the kind tonight, as the guidance has been don't even go to school, don't go to work, don't go outside unless you absolutely need to, because there is anticipation that the whole situation here could change once again. Like what we saw this morning here, in which Iran carried out a couple of missile barrages at Israel here that were quite damaging. What you're looking at here, this is in northern Israel, Haifa, which bore some of the brunt of it, as well as central Israel, but over 80 people being injured in these two missile barrages that were fired by Iran. That's why you have this high level of alertness here, believing that this is only the tip of retaliation that we've seen from Iran. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is in a bunker at an undisclosed location. That further underscores the level of security that the Israelis are taking here. But he addressed the nation here tonight and actually give a little bit of perspective on exactly how we got to this point, why these decisions were made, why this plan was set in motion. This is what he said. Take a listen.
They had enough enriched uranium because we could delay them, but we couldn't stop them from enriching uranium. So they had enough of that, 9 or 10 bombs worth of enriched uranium. But they needed to make the bomb itself. And the bomb itself, they rushed to do. We had to act. We were in the 12th hour. We knew that we wouldn't have a 13th hour if they succeeded.
So that's why you're hearing the Prime Minister saying tonight that they're really unabashedly continuing on with their operations. We've seen the Israeli Air Force continuing on bombing runs here today in Iran, striking targets in Tehran, western Iran as well, focusing on ballistic missile sites. That's the other threat that the Israelis are focused on here. So, I mean, at this juncture, Connell, it's an anticipation. It's going to continue like this for the foreseeable future until the Israelis attain their goals or something else changes in this dynamic here. Connell?
Well, I guess one of the things that could change is some sort of a negotiation, whether it's direct or back channel. Dan Perry and I were just having a conversation about this. I mentioned at the top that President Trump says, hey, Iran, now's the time to cut a deal, negotiate a deal. What about from the Iranian side, Robert? Any sign at all that they're serious about, really coming to the table?
Well, I mean, as we've always discussed, Connell, there is that distinction to be made between the public sphere and the back channels. And what Iran is saying publicly today, this is what the foreign minister put out. I'll read this for you, and you can make your own takeaways here. Last week, we were in negotiations with the U.S. when Israel decided to blow up that diplomacy. This week, we held talks with the E3 EU when the U.S. decided to blow up that diplomacy. What conclusion would you draw? To Britain and the EU high reps, it is Iran which must return to the table. But how can Iran return to something it never left, let alone blew up? That's the foreign minister of Iran making very clear there that they feel as though that they've done nothing wrong, and even went so far to say today, when asked by reporters, Iran doesn't have much of an appetite to negotiate. But there is this that is happening as well here. The Strait of Hormuz, I think that this is really important, is that you've seen the Iranian government, according to state media, putting in motion plans to seal off the Strait of Hormuz. That's a significant trade channel right there. Over 20% of oil going through that route that is right there. Secretary of State Marco Rubio was asked about this today, in which he said that he believes that if Iran does make that decision, it would be a terrible mistake and, quote unquote, economic suicide. But that is a development that we're watching very closely here, because that could have global ramifications here. Connell?
Yeah, I was saying earlier, Robert, it would hurt them being the Iranians. But the other country to watch with that is China. because China is the country that gets almost all of Iran's oil. China gets like 10, 12% of its oil from Iran, but that's like 90% of Iran's oil, I think. So see what Iran says if that, or what China says if that ends up happening. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.